Alright, so at the start of last year, I said I was going to be playing other games, and well, I didn't really follow through with that for like the first 6 months. Switching away from working from home made me rethink and revalue my free time and my gaming time. So unlike 2023, I did not spend all of 2024 only playing Lost Ark. So I thought it'd be fun to have a recap slash mini review of the games I played in 2024 and talk about 2025. This isn't every game I played, but these are games that I thought might be part of my channel in the future, but I didn't really stick with them. Starting off with Palworld, as we know, Pokemon with guns. Time and time again, this has proven to be the game that you can just kind of play and chill at the same time. Like, this is a game that you can play after a long day of work or anything like that and just kind of sit back. During the initial launch, I did burn out on this game pretty quickly because I was playing multiple servers with friends, and since characters and progress and everything is tied to every different server, it was really annoying to just kind of do everything over and over in a short amount of time. And so my least progressed file actually happens to be my solo file. And then we did another new server when Favorite came out, and we've pretty much done everything in there. The guy who was going to run a dedicated server couldn't get it running, so we're just on a local server. My issue is that your character and progress are just held hostage by whoever's holding that server. I just really wish characters weren't server bound because I really don't want to do all that breeding and everything I'd done on that server again on my own server. Just let me take it off and put it on my own server. I'm sure this group of friends will start playing again every update. It's just still annoying that characters are just server bound. Now, The First Descendant is a game I thought was going to be a bigger part of my channel than it ended up being. It's a very solid online looter shooter, and I just really enjoyed the game early on, and I kept on praising the developers because they would listen to feedback and actually make meaningful changes to the game in according to this feedback. That alone really makes me want to support the developers in the game because it is just a rare thing to see at this point. But as you know, this game is visually stunning. However, my opinion on the game still stands as it was in that first video that I made. This game does well on many fronts, but nothing really in particular stands out about it. If you ever watch any Gordon Ramsay show, how he talks about how there needs to be this hero in the dish, this one part of the dish that stands out, TFD is a game that doesn't have a hero in the game. Like, in the game design, there's nothing about the game that just stands out on its own. If I was asked what the best part of the gameplay and design of TFD is, I couldn't say off the top of my head because nothing stands out. It is also just lacking consistent and appealing content updates. If I logged in right now and played, 98% of the content that I could do is all content I was able to do day one, basically. Well, more like 90 probably. As when the game updates, you're getting new void interceptions, which are just boss battles. And then every season you get one new type of season content, basically, which right now is like a generated dungeon. And so what this game does is when they add new characters, new contents, they go back into old loot pools and they find out where the repeats are, and then they replace the repeats with newer stuff. And so for that reason, I'm farming new characters and new guns on old content that I was doing day one. And so since this game is lacking new content, it doesn't really have that hero feature, that standout feature of the game. When people get all their gear and loot that they want to get, or they feel like they're at a good spot, they stop playing and they probably just don't come back, as we can see through the Steam charts. It's a game I want to keep my eye on, but I just don't feel excited to ever boot it up right now, so I just don't. Now, Once Human is an open world survival crafting game that runs on scenarios or seasons. I think they'll last about 2 months, and there's 4 different scenarios. My group of friends only have played the PvE ones, and it's pretty much what you would expect. Gather, craft, kill things, story mode, there's dungeon bosses, world bosses. One server adds a unique mechanic of weather where you can get too hot or too cold, so you have to craft gear and items to make yourself not freeze or burn to death. Overall, this game feels like it's just eternally in alpha. It is just filled to the brim with bugs and issues. Every time there's an update, it feels like it's not tested because even more issues occur. Just like TFD, the issue with this game is that it lacks a lot of content. Even if we were to play the PvP scenarios as well, we would still be way out of content. Now we are stuck with these same scenarios until September, I think it is. That's when they plan to release the new ones, which almost is going to be about a year from one added scenario to another. Now, they do retroactively upgrade these scenarios that they currently have. Like from that one with the weather way, the winter, they added features from that to the one before that, which is Mana Bus. There are parts of the world that does change over time. They do change the locations of some things, which also helps to the feeling that this game is just an alpha game. And so just recently they added the lunar, whatever it's called, which makes it so basically there's a red moon and at night you get attacked. So it does alter the scenario and the experience, but it doesn't make it like a completely fresh new experience of just new content. For a lot of people, it's probably not going to be enough to just jump into it right away. I will say though, I have a ton of fun messing with the really horrible and wonderful vehicle physics. So yeah, overall it is kind of annoying to see that there isn't like a lot of real content coming out, and then also that we get like a new gacha like every other week. Like, don't get me wrong, I get it that it's a lot easier to make skins than it is to make real content, but it It's like a 90 to 10% skin to content ratio. And also servers are impermanent. Overall, a fun game, still just lacking content. Now, Atomic Picnic is a really fun brain rot action roguelike. If you really just want to lean back and shoot 1,000 things, why not? Now, unlike these other games that feel like they're in alpha or early access, this one actually is in early access. It is severely lacking in content, as basically 3 days in of playing for a few nights a day with the boys, we pretty much got everything done in the game. The base work and concept of the game, though, is really good, and I really do look forward to seeing what they do with it. I think it's pretty cool that there are set combinations of upgrades that you can combine together, basically. However, I just don't feel like there's enough variety with them. There's not enough. These curios, these upgrades, I really feel like there's 2 viable paths of upgrading and playing a character, and the other ones I just don't feel that great about. Where you can basically just play a path where you're just shooting everything and everything's just reflecting and bouncing. And then there's another one where you're just being a huge AoE around you. Where there's one static one around you, and also you just proc him as you reload. The dash, grenades, and elemental focus builds just haven't felt that good. Maybe I just haven't tested enough, or I haven't done the right combinations. And I will say that pretty much everything with the damn map is the worst things about this game. The map itself, I don't know. I don't really like the flow of it. I feel like going vertically upwards is just not fun. They happen to fill it with all the worst mob types in the game, and also that turtle boss, which is not exclusive to that map, where it just teleports across the map, is just super annoying. This is the kind of game that you enjoy and look forward to an update, and then you finish everything in a day or two, and then you kind of get sad. But then you wait for the next update. And so the last game on the list is PoE 2, which I started playing in 2024. My opinions on this game still stay the same as my initial video about it. It is extremely rare to have a game where you actually enjoy the leveling scenario. The freedom you have with characters and builds is just good. I can pretty much just play with friends whenever I want. It is just a fun game, and well, it does have its problems. Which, yes, this is also another game in early access. Endgame mapping, it's just kind of bland. They did just put out a big patch with changes to it, which is great, and I look forward to seeing more changes, because yes, this is early access game, and you can expect a lot of this to change to the final product. And for that reason, I'm kind of letting this game cook for a little bit. I'm letting it really update and change things up for me to go back to it. Also, the classes that I really wanted to play most when I first read about them are the classes that are locked right now, so kind of a waiting game. Well, since I have other games I want to play, I'm just kind of taking it easy on PoE 2 until all the updates come in. Well, not all, but a lot of updates come in. Also, GGG Grinding Gear Games, the people who make the game, are also showing to be another example of a developer who is actually listening to the community and making good changes in according to their feedback. That gives me another reason to want to support them as well. I totally forgot about TL, so I'm adding it in during post. I really enjoyed combining classes. It was like the old game Rift. But as somebody who doesn't do MMO PvP, it's like TFD in a sense where there's nothing really in the game that stands out that I want to do. It's a very standard tab target kind of game. I just didn't really want to deal with another game where I have dailies and weeklies to do again, with just adding it on top of what I already have. If I was into PvP, I would probably enjoy this game more. So now let's talk a little about 2025. I still plan to look at and tinker with all the games I mentioned today. With that little exception on TFD, maybe. This will probably be the year I give Warframe a try. It's just right now I'm more focused on newer games that are launching that I can play when they first come out, because when a game first comes out, that's when they're most exciting generally. As of today, Friday, the day I'm recording this video, I plan to start putting a ton of hours into Dynasty Warrior Origins. Musou games are just a guilty pleasure of mine. Just like Atomic Picnic, I enjoy just mowing down a ton of enemies. And I do like that they're trying to go back to a more strategic feel to the game. Though I am kind of concerned about the weapon type variety since they did cut down on officers. That is the only feels bad part about the game, is just there's a lot of characters I really enjoyed and I like their weapon sets, and I'm probably not going to see them. Like Dragon, Pirate Yakuza, this is another game that I'm also really looking forward into. Another game that I probably won't make a lot of content to, but it's just, I like the Yakuza games. I pretty much skip the latest ones because of Lost Ark just getting in the way. But a game that focuses around Majima, I'm not skipping that. I also started playing Marvel Rivals last week, and I'm actually really enjoying playing that with friends. Though I gotta say, I'm not really feeling any tanks. In 2025, I'm really hoping that I can get into another fighting game. I'm somebody who generally enjoys tag and versus games, so for that reason, I'm mostly looking forward to 2XKO. The MVCI Beyond stuff was pretty cool, but I don't see myself sticking with that game. 2024 really just didn't hit for me in fighting games. Lost Soul Aside is that game I've been looking forward for a long time. The fact that that first trailer was just done by one guy, yes, there was a lot of stock on real assets, it was still really nuts. It also introduced me to Tybercore music. It is unfortunately one of those games that's been in development for so long that you kind of stop hearing about it, and then you kind of forget about it for a bit, and then you hear about it again and you're pretty hyped. But yeah, really looking forward to this one. Now, when it comes to MMOs in 2025, if WoW comes up with an expansion, let's be honest, I'm probably going to try it. And if Ashes ever puts in like a way to play and access the game for like under 50 bucks, we'll say, I might be willing to give that a shot, because even though this game has gotten a lot of shit recently, I am still interested in to a degree. And the reason is something I really want to talk about this channel is I really do respect MMO devs. To develop a new MMO, especially like a new IP, is just a huge, daunting and risky task. There are just so many features and part of the game to make and balance with one another, and actually just make a good MMO, it's hard. There's a huge world that you have to fill. There's a lot of things you have to do with characters. You have to do the whole quest system. You have to think about just overall progression. There's just so many factors into an MMO that it is, I think, probably the hardest genre of game to ever make. And for that reason, I want to give them some benefit of the doubt and look forward to the game still. Now, World of Jade Dynasty is something that I look forward to playing the most out of any MMO. They say there's no pay to win and they're going with a monthly sub to it. The downside is right now it's only released in China. However, if you guys have been following NVIDIA, you can see that they have gameplay footage of it to show off NVIDIA things, and there's also English dialogue in it. So I think there's a really good chance for a global/Western release of the game soon, and I look forward to it. I'm going to be honest, I have a lot of faith in China when it comes to actually making good games. It seems like they're rejecting pay to win. They're making games just appealing for a lot of people. They're making them fun. They're making games people want to play. And so that leaves us with finally addressing Lost Ark. I've mentioned this before on my channel, and I'm going to say it again, I'm still pretty burnt out on the game. I have 10k hours in the game, and that's with me barely playing for the last 3 months. Due to me wanting to play other games and changes in my life and lifestyle, going hard into Lost Ark just hasn't fit in. I log in and I do some dailies here and there, maybe do a solo raid sometimes, because I like the game. I still want to play the game. It's just that I just don't want to put the time or monetary investment to keep my characters and roster up to the point. I've never committed to a game as much as I have to Lost Ark. It will always be a very special game to me. But yeah, right now I'm just kind of chilling and seeing where the game goes. I will probably play the game a little bit more again when Wild Soul comes out and just tinker around with that class. The class just has some really goofy animations, which just makes it fun looking to me. We'll probably also be benching my artist for Paladin, female Paladin, when it comes out. My goal is to take a more casual approach to this game for a large part of 2025, and then maybe eventually get back into maybe some frontline raiding on like maybe just my main. We'll see where things go. 2024, I had a lot of fun talking about general game design and just parts of MMOs. That will probably just be a continued trend for my channel. There are some other topics I considered talking about in my channel, and I still might. 3 concept videos that I thought about talking about was just overall computer parts with the upgrades from the Ryzen 9000 series and also the 50 series GPUs. Another thing I considered talking about some is just monitor size and what you should be looking for, and my experience with playing games on different monitor sizes. And then another side topic is like the evolution that I've had with my audio equipment and how I've done recording. If you've been around from the start or from a long time ago, I've been through a lot with changing things up and trying out new things to get a good sounding audio. And it's not perfect by any means, but it is a lot better. So I thought that might be a fun conversation to have for just talking about it, and also anybody looking into this kind of stuff. So for you, those who are still watching, who heard all that, let me know what you think about those in the comments, and also let me know what you guys are looking forward to or what you plan on playing in 2025.